Well, I like that we're in the parking lot for the school I went to when I first saw these movies. You had asked me all those years ago, Brad, what are you going to do when you get older? I'm going to be in the same parking lot, still talking about Friday the 13th.
Life, man, it's full circle.
It really is true. So we played the Friday the 13th game that just came out Friday, I think. Friday it came out. You want to talk about the pros first?
The pros. Starting with the shorter of the lists.
I texted you earlier and said because we were planning on playing this game this week and doing a video on it, and I texted you earlier and went, I've been playing this game. I bought this game a couple of days ago, and I was like, I've played this game already, and it's not going to take us very long to do some playthroughs on this, to do a video on it.
Which is true and false, but
well, yeah, good point. Because this game could easily be called Friday the 13th Searching for Sessions. But that's in the cons.
Yeah, that'll be in the longer list. We'll get to that in a minute.
There is some... Here's what this game feels like. It feels like it's... And I know that it was a whole Kickstarter campaign and everything. This game feels like it's a work in progress for a section of what would be a much bigger game.
Yeah, like it feels more like it's still in like the playtesting phase. Like any other game that's doing like oh, we're doing like a beta test for this. There's like, you know, like certain like fighting games, like Injustice 2 here a couple months ago sent me a thing about doing like a beta test for it. It was back when there was like, there's only like 5 characters that have been announced, and you know, you can play around and, you know, help us work out the kinks. So like you expect it to be kind of limited, be kind of glitchy, like not really have much in the way other than just like the bare essentials for what you need to do. But this isn't like a play test. This isn't like a work in progress. Like this was, hey, we came out with our game, guys.
I think that there are going to be some updates on it. There's some things I've read about it, and even some stuff that will go along with some of the complaints I have about this game. I guess there is some stuff that they're working on in the future that will probably fix some of that or add different types of gameplay to it. But certain aspects of the game, you can really tell that they're fans of the series, because what's cool about...
Oh, yeah, because they all over the place, like, not just, like, fan service, but, like almost, like, slavish devotion to achieving, like, the level of realism and... like you can feel like the regard that they hold these movies in, because they're very, very loyal to the source material for a lot of things. And there's parts where there really are, and there are parts where they're not. But I don't think that that's really... I don't think that's because they don't know the source material. I think it's just weird game design. Yeah, some of it falls in that category of, like, it's as on point as so many small things are, then when it's a big thing that's glaringly wrong, it has that feel of like it's not because they, you know, like like the whole story behind, like, you know, Kevin Smith working on like Superman, where they're like, it's like, don't put him in the suit, no cape, he doesn't look like a fag, he jumps everywhere, he doesn't fly. Like, it doesn't feel like it's one of those things where they just didn't understand. They're like, fuck it, this is what we're doing.
Yeah,
it's just like, it just feels like maybe they couldn't come up with anything else, or anything else in time, I guess I should say. And there's like, this is what it is. And
believe me, like, because you and I both grew up with this. Like, Friday the 13th was my shit. Like, it still is. Like, it was my favorite slasher series as a kid, and it's my favorite one now, too. So I really like stuff how... in this game where when you can choose between different Jasons, should you end up playing as Jason in it, when you can choose between the different Jasons, their strengths and their weaknesses are based on the Jasons that you pick, and it's accurate.
Yeah, and it's stuff that, it makes sense,
yeah.
and it makes it kind of like an enjoyable little perk to it, so it's not just like, oh, here's all these different, like, I mean, granted, like, I don't really see that any of the different, like, strengths or weaknesses to, like, the counselors really seem to make that much difference. But, like, the different abilities that it would give Jason, I think, really do kind of benefit him. Because, like,
totally.
Like, certain ones, like...
Richard Brooker can run fast. So can Friday the 13th Part 2. Part 6 can throw knives, because he does that a couple of times in the movie.
Part 8 can just walk behind a tree and appear on the other side of the map.
Well, they can all do that in this game. I mean, that's an unfortunate thing about this. But if, let's say that was a trick that Part 8 Jason can do, and Part 8 Jason alone, that would make total sense, because he fucking can teleport in Friday the 13th Part 8.
In the bottom of the ship, looks up, he's on deck.
Yeah.
It's like, no other explanation. Bitch can teleport.
Some of them can, like, have more strength than others, have more, like, physical strength and everything, and they do. It's Kane Hodder doing motion capturing for it. I'm guessing he's doing motion capturing for the Jasons that he didn't play, and you can kind of tell. You can kind of tell a little, like I was like, yeah, Richard Brooker Jason does look like Richard Brooker Jason, but you can kind of see a little bit of.
He's a little too, like, stout across the shoulders, or like Part 2 Jason. Like, he was just like he was a lanky guy. He was tall, but, like, he wasn't big by any stretch. He's a fucking behemoth now.
I like that, like, the three maps are Crystal Lake, the place from Part 2, and Higgins Haven from Part 3. That looks cool. It at first glance, you can tell what it is.
Yeah, they're instantly identifiable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, it's not one of those things where it's like, yeah, I guess this is kind of like, no, like, they clearly, like, painstakingly went back through, like, rewatching the scenes over and over again, or, like, production stills or whatever, like, get a good layout of the land to construct a level on.
And I'm sure if you looked at a still shot of, like, let's say this game were on disc and there were, like, pictures on the back, I'm sure if you were to look at still shots of this game and then look at the gameplay, the still shots you're looking at would relatively as opposed to, off the top of my head, that Rambo the video game we played, which made it look balls to the wall in the picture, and then when you play this thing, it's a cheap rail shooter.
Although I am sad that Jason's head wasn't the size of Stallone's head in that.
Yeah. They do a good job with the music in it. It's the music from the movies, and that's cool. When you can tell Jason is kind of nearby when the music starts amping up a little bit, when the comes into it, and like the chase music and stuff like that.
Yeah, like, there's a lot of like really good cues that they put in.
Yeah.
And they have, like, a lot of the folks from the franchise helping out. Tom Savini worked on it. Kane Hodder,
Tom Matthews,
Harry Manfredini, Sean Cunningham. Like, a lot of people that had stuff to do with these movies are, like, present and accountable for, like, some of what's happening here. So, like again, like, there's that level that goes past, like, oh, we're just gonna do like a game based off of this. We're like, no, let's actually reach out to the people involved with these movies and get them on with this so that we're doing it right.
And the kills do go along. The kills are really good in this. The kills are really funny. There's
some
shit
of
like
them are peculiar, but
there was, yeah, like he'll just throw a girl in a fire. He'll spear through the head. Like and some of them are specific to whatever Jason it is. Like Friday the 13th Part 8 just punches a guy's head off. We saw that a few times.
Or Part 6, he had that long, like, pike.
Oh, his spear.
Like, you know, like we were hiding under the bed at that one point, and he came up and just started stabbing through the bed. Like, all right, you know what? I'm on board. I'm with this. That makes complete fucking sense.
And there's little things too about how part 6 Jason also he's got the yellow gloves on, he's got that tool belt that he had on in that movie. I appreciate that so much because I do honestly get so tired of constantly seeing like Jason figures and posters for sale, and it's always Jacket Jason of like Freddy vs. Jason in the remake. It's just preference, honestly. I also I don't like how that look. Not that it's a bad look. Don't get me wrong. I just don't like how that particular look kind of took over for like the mainstay Jason look.
Yeah, because that's kind of how he is in even like Mortal Kombat XL.
It is. Yeah,
just out there in a sensible blazer. It's like
it's like I don't mean to be like a hashtag not my Jason. Like I mean, it's not Roderick we're talking about here. But don't get me wrong, that is a good look. It is. But it goes along. I don't like the remake. Freddy vs. Jason isn't one of my favorites.
Well, it's kind of like before that one though. Like the main way that you usually saw him, or like a parody of him, was always wearing like just like a like tan or green like work jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Just look like palette swap Michael Myers.
I like the I honestly, yeah, my favorite Jason is Richard Brooker in part 3. Just that Toxic Avenger looking, like the one eye down here, just inbred as fuck, lanky as shit, like fucking chases after your ass.
Well, and my favorite look has always just been the look from 2, just because
I like that too.
It's so fucking different from all the rest of them. Because like at a point, it's just like, okay, hockey mask, some sort of work clothes. Like, oh, he's wearing khakis and like a green jacket. Yeah. Oh, he's wearing green pants and like a dark gray jacket. Oh, he's just wearing like gray, you know, work jumpsuit. Like,
or just like the, you know, the 7 and 8. Just he's been down in the lake for several years. Look,
tattered rags and his backbones.
There's one thing I like about the Jacket Jason look. It's just the idea that somewhere along the way, Jason was walking through and saw a jacket that he really liked and took it off of a corpse, I'm assuming. I mean, he got the hockey mask off Shelly, so maybe he was just like, you know, it's a little chillier this time of year. Like, I'm usually resurrected in the summer, but it's kind of cold right now. I kind of need a jacket.
Cool
this one
New
looks
England
good.
Winters.
Yeah. And it yeah, okay, this game, man, like, because there's, you could see where this game could be heavily improved upon, because it's not an instant write-off at all. It isn't. Here's the bad things about this game. It's multiplayer only. There's no single player mode yet. I hear there will be. There's not one yet.
Which would be interesting, because like if they could develop like a single player mode that like went through like different maps, or like, you know, like not just like oh, here's, because each session is just, it's up to 9 people, and one of those people is randomly selected as Jason. And then once the match starts, there's only at least so far, there's only the 3 different maps that it could possibly be from. And from there, it's like, it's a 20-minute match. It's either Jason kills everybody, or you survive for 20 minutes, or there's a couple different things you can do to get away. Like,
yeah, you
can fix a car and drive it out of there.
You can alert the cops.
But each one has like their pros and cons. Like if you call for the cops, then you have to wait for the cops to get there. Then you have to find where they are and get there. Or with the car, like we saw one match earlier where somebody fixed the car so they could get out of there, started driving it, and just crashed into a fucking wall. And
Jason could pull you out of the car. I do like that. I like the fact that once you get the car, that doesn't mean you're...
Because then it's,
for lack of a better word, out of the woods.
Because it seemed like that car is not easy to control.
I haven't controlled the car. Like, I've only found, like, I found the keys once, I found the battery, I found the gas before, but those are all different matches. They were never at the same time.
It seems like your best bet is hoping that somebody else has been trying to fix the car, and you just happen to come along with the key.
I would... because this game has as much story mode to it as, like, the NES game. You're instantly thrown in with counselors that you don't know. The counselors that are in this, they're not anyone from the movie. And if they were going to do that, I would prefer it was, like, let's say you're at the map for part 1. Then that would be cool if it was the cast from 1 or the cast from 2, the cast from 3.
And I can see it being a thing with, like, okay, so maybe it's a likeness rights issue.
Could be, yeah.
Because, I mean, like, several, known actors have kind of been through these movies. Like, hell, the first one has Kevin Bacon in it.
Crispin Glover and 4, Corey Feldman.
So there is a level of, well, you can't do that, but at least, like, if you're not going to make them, use their likeness, at least, like, model them after the campers from that particular one to a degree, to whatever legal degree you can get away with.
Or maybe get the ones that aren't Kevin Bacon, or get, Yeah,
because I'm sure, like, some of the people would sign on for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a few of the characters that already, like, resemble characters from some of the other ones. Like, the blonde guy kind of looks like...
Paul from part 2.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, there's, like, vague resemblances, like, like, it kind of reminds me of that guy. Or, like, there's, like, that one kind of, like, punk girl with, like, the dark hair with the streaks in it. Like, it's like, okay, well, she kind of looks like the guitar girl from part 8.
I'm pretty sure Malcolm is in this game. I'm fairly certain Malcolm Ray is a playable character in this game.
Has his Letterman's jacket and everything.
Same hairstyle and everything.
So, like, some of them are reminiscent, but it's all over the place and all just kind of mixed into one.
And they're all in the same...
And every single match starts the same way, with this same unfortunate guy in blue flannel walking down the hill, gets killed by whoever the Jason is that is the Jason this time, and then it starts.
And this, as a huge fan of the series, this is one of the parts where I'm like, this isn't right. Because, like, if you pick Crystal Lake, it says Camp Crystal Lake, 1979, which means Jason in the hockey mask shouldn't be coming out of there and, like, and murdering him. Hell, like, even if you pick Higgins Haven in part 3, or, it's the same, it's like you just said, it's the same guy dies, the same guy wrecks, because it's the same characters in every single one. And it is weird.
But what's odd is it's not the exact same scene. Like,
no.
Like in the Crystal Lake one, they're all down by the campfire, and guy in the blue flannel gets hit. Blonde guy turns around, horrified. It starts.
Yeah, but it's the same setup.
But then, it's like, so it's not like they were just lazy. They just chose to do the same thing for all 3.
And it is weird looking at, like, part 8 Jason, for instance, going to the shack from the end of part 2.
Because, at the end of every match, too, it ends with, like, Jason going to his little shack from part 2 with, like, Pamela's head whispering, like, "Come to me, my Jason, that's my good boy," or whatever the fuck she says. And then, like, zooming in on, like, his little shriveled up mommy head altar.
Yeah.
It's like, this makes no sense unless you're playing, like, if you're playing the level that's centered around part 2, that makes sense. But when it's the first one, it's like Pamela should be alive, or at least only recently killed at the end of this map, not a shriveled head already. Or it just seems weird that that's the default ending for all of these maps.
But then at the same time, they do little things that show that they've certainly seen and are fans of it. For instance, somebody who wouldn't necessarily be a fan of this and not know that much about it, and they've just been hired to make this game, would just put that Part 2 is taking place in, like, 1981 or something, you know? But no, it's putting it, it does say that the map for Part 2 and the map for Part 3 are taking place in 1984 because it takes place 5 years after the events of the first movie. There are little things like that are like, really nice touches.
And it's just irksome when it's like it doesn't seem like it's stuff that they did wrong on purpose or did wrong out of ignorance. It's like they didn't know what else to do at the end of the match, so they just did the same thing every time. I mean, you could have come up with so many different things, like at the end of like the Higgins Haven one, like have like a fake dream sequence when he comes busting out of the house.
Yeah.
You do the end of the first one and have like a fake scene where like even if there's nobody in the canoe and then him jump out of the water, like you could have done something, like some small little thing, but no, every single time it's him retreating back to that little shack.
And correct us if we're wrong that maybe there are different ones,
and
but
maybe we're just only getting that one.
But I've played this game the past few days. I've played it quite a few times, and it was that every single time. I don't know if maybe it changes the farther you go into it, because I know that you can unlock different Jasons, you can unlock different counselors, but it shows you the Jasons and counselors that are there and you just haven't unlocked yet.
Yeah.
But man, one of the biggest things about this movie is just you will spend most of your time on this game waiting to find a session to open up. It could be last night, it took 4 minutes. Earlier for us,
when I first got here, we tried it. It was about 11 minutes.
Yeah,
and then it was fine. Like once you can get into a match, you're kind of cool then, as long as nobody decides to as long as like the host doesn't decide to like rage quit and then is
which happened the group we were in, because I don't have any, we weren't talking or anything, I don't have any microphone or headphones or anything. We were just playing it, but you were listening to them more than Laura and I were, so like all of a sudden we looked up and it said kicked, this room is now closed or something. At first I was like, did they get mad at our performance as Tommy Jarvis? I don't know what happened. But no, like apparently they were all yelling at each other.
Tommy Jarvis and just immediately died.
We did, like twice.
It's like, oh good, the cavalry's here.
Boom.
Head
punch through
off.
Yeah. But no, apparently they all started yelling at each other in there and they all just rage quit.
To be fair, listening to their voices over like the voice chat thing,
they were like 5.
Yeah.
They were like 5 years old.
It was a bunch of like elementary or like junior high kids.
Yeah.
And like one grown man on there who was like yelling at them back, and then it's just like everybody got pissed and left.
And then we had to go out of the room again and wait for another session to open, which took 23 minutes.
And while you're waiting, it's the sort of thing where it's like, it's not such a big deal when it's something like you're trying to like get onto like a match on like a fighting game, or get onto like a Call of Duty map or something like that. Like it was, because I mean, I know like sometimes you have to wait on those, but nothing like this unless there's like big fucking like major issues going on. Or it's just an old enough game where like no one's on. But it's during this whole time, it's just on the title screen, like just cycling back and forth between like the same like 4 or 5 images of Jason.
We could have listened to the Pamela tapes if we had any.
If we knew what those were and where to find them.
We can listen to Man Behind the Mask. By Alice Cooper, because one of the options on there is to just watch the credits, and that's the song that's playing. I did that a couple of times last night.
But yeah, otherwise it's just playing like the plinky kind of odd things are happening at camp, but no one knows what it is yet music, and that's just it. Like you're just sitting there for 20-some minutes with that just cycling.
And when you die, you have to wait until everyone else dies, or
there's no respawns or anything like that. So,
you can if you become Tommy Jarvis, like when Tommy Jarvis is called, and it's the Tom Matthews Tommy Jarvis, when he gets called, he shows up, and one of the people who has randomly died is randomly chosen to play Tommy Jarvis, and it happened to us a couple of times.
But it seems like there's no rhyme or reason to it. Like one time, like just suddenly, like we were like died, and we were just like, it lets you like spectate after that and just switch back and forth from the different characters. And then just all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're Tommy Jarvis. Like, okay.
And so you have to, you can watch other players. You can flip through the players that are still alive and watch them.
Most of what you're going to be doing, or at least if you're us.
Yeah, and that can be... This isn't a game that you're going to be playing for several hours, but if you're playing it for just a small period of time, I mean, that was pretty funny. Like, it wasn't... First of all, it was funny because the kills are pretty good, and it is fun seeing Jason just randomly pop up behind a corner and just hit a guy with an axe. Like, stuff like that was funny, but also...
Hey, that was me.
Was it? Or I couldn't remember. Hell, I accidentally stepped in a bear trap at one point. I think, didn't you step in a bear trap earlier? Like,
oh no, I tricked that kid who was playing Jason into stepping into that one that I set. After I was so wounded, I couldn't actually run away because like the first I went into it cold. Like my first time trying it, I went into it just completely cold. Like I'm like, don't look at how you play. Like don't look at like what buttons do what. Just
I did too.
Jump in, see what happens. I lasted like a minute. Like I ran around a building. I found where like this abandoned car was, and immediately Jason attacked me.
Yeah, I did end up making it. I have it not tonight, but when I played it previously, like I did. You do, when you start doing it more and more, you can kind of get into your own groove in the sense that, like, okay, I'm going to just kind of look through drawers in the cabins and keep a weapon on me, and if I find this piece of the car, then okay, I'll just focus on trying to get to the car then. And
yeah, I hadn't even gone into any buildings, so like I had no weapons, no items, like just immediately, like I was walking around the corner of this building and just immediately like the music pitched up, and it does like this like tracking bars, like it's an old VHS tape whenever Jason's right on top of you.
Yeah, that was weird.
Is jarring.
It is.
Almost always results in you getting fucking killed.
It is hard to get away from Jason in this. Like, you're supposed to just...
Yeah, once he grabs you, like, you have, like, a 5% chance of breaking free and getting the fuck away from him.
You get a bigger chance if you got, like, the pocket knife on you or the flare gun. You can't... Even without that, I have gotten away from him. Wow. Yeah, sometimes that can be a bit difficult to get away from Jason in those scenes.
I think out of all of the times I tried breaking free, I got free once.
I had a few times, but more often than not, like, yeah, I get like a fucking spear through my head. But some of the funniest parts of watching the other characters once you've died is this game is glitchy as fuck.
Good God. Like, one of the weirdest parts, and I think it has something to do with how Jason gets to be controlled, because
dude,
I think he's able to like reposition himself on the map. Like from what I remember reading a while back, like I think he's able to reposition himself on the map. But and correct us if we're wrong, because it never came up once to where we were Jason. But I think he's able to reposition himself on the map. But as a result, there's times where like he's chasing somebody and then just disappears and is suddenly standing in front of them.
Again, which would be fine if you're playing as Part 8 Jason in those parts.
And if it showed him like coming from somewhere, like like fuck, like in like when Jason was in Mortal Kombat XL, he's got like I forget what it calls, like Lake Mist or something is one of the versions of him in there. That's one of his moves. Is that he turns and walks off screen and comes out the other side. You know, they give him like a teleport move like a lot of the other fighters have, and it makes sense. So I was like, hey, okay, and it's only like one of the versions of him that gets to have that move. Like he has like kind of stuff like that. But in this, like, no, it's just like suddenly he just like boop, just pops off screen. Like there was at one point like one of the other people we were spectating on, because that's how most of our playtime was.
You were going to be waiting for sessions, or you were going to be watching other people.
Because you just got to wait that 20 minutes or until something happens. Like if that Jason ends up killing everybody early, or everybody escapes, or just something happens, but. It can be up to 20 minutes of you sitting there,
dude, and you can get some laughs out of these glitches, man. Like first of all, their scared face.
Oh god, yeah,
like it's so good.
That one guy ran around for like almost the whole 20 minutes with just his face. Like,
yeah, it'll go
like they don't look normal or realistic at all. Like they look like the scared faces that like those old like fucking Ghostbusters figures had.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like
you hit the button,
leg
and you
and
squeeze it, and that's totally what it looked like. Man, that was funny, because it'll just like, because Jason will appear, disappear, sometimes in just a few seconds, and because of that, their scared face their face will go from normal, which even then is kind of creepy looking, from normal to normal to and that's not even the goofy, like Jason disappearing, these weird faces that they have aren't even the weirdest glitches that I got.
Yeah, like because it's just fucking weird. Like there was one person to a point, like they had a rifle, they were aimed at Jason, he was walking down the fucking like middle of the road at them, and then while they were taking aim on him, he just disappeared. They put the gun down, and all of a sudden, like, it just, like, no transition, no watching it happen, just suddenly, like, they were aiming at him, he disappeared out of the middle of the road like it was fucking Looper or something.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, oh, that means that none of this should be existing right now.
Like, shit, they went to the past and killed him.
Yeah.
But then, he disappeared, the guy lowered the gun, and then just like that, he was suddenly like Jason was just holding him by the neck and he was dead. It's like, what the fuck happened? Like, how do you defend against that? Or like he would disappear off the road, and then he was just standing next to the person. It's like, how do you deal with that? They'd break free from him, take 2 steps, and he would just blip blip and appear on the other side like he was fucking Raiden doing like that, like up and down teleport that he has. It's like, how do you, like, what do you even do? Like, you cannot get the fuck away from this guy. Dude,
last night, when I was playing it, the reason why I had to exit one group and go into another was because you can hide in tents, and I do not suggest doing this. Like, you can hide in a lot of things in this. You can hide under the bed, you can hide in the door, you can hide in some closets, and there's also tents set up. And so I went to hide in it, or I was maybe just searching to see if there was anything in there. But I went in there, and you're supposed to be able to hit X in order to get out of it, or hold it, or anything. Regardless, like, whatever it was telling you to do was not working. Like, there was no way to get, like, at one point it just showed the tent like opening flap up, and it just went back down. And there was absolutely no getting out of it. Like, Laura goes, "What's the little icon on top of the X?" And she was like, "Is that like the sideways R2 button?" And I'm like, "No, that's just like an image of the tent." like
it's to show you, like, push this button for tent. And
yeah.
Because I noticed, like, a lot of times, like, it had like weird detection for stuff like that. Because I saw a lot of people like, oh shit, Jason's coming. They'd run into a cabin and close the door, and it gives you if they divided this across 2 buttons, I think it would have worked a lot nicer. But like, it gives you tap X to open the door back up, or hold X, and there's like a crossbar that you can slap down. Then instead of just being able to walk in, he has to break down the door to get in.
That was easy for me to get used to. It's the same when you're picking up certain objects. But
I noticed a lot of people were doing that, where they'd close the door and oh shit, Jason's coming, and you could tell what they were planning on doing was barring the door, and instead they just threw it back open. Or like I know this happened to me and you a couple times where we were open a cabin door, take a step inside it, and you're gonna close the door behind you. But instead, he just grabs it and walks back out of the room and closes it, and you're still standing outside. It's like, thanks, asshole.
That's that at least I'm that's a mistake I've made in 5-star games before. You just get too ahead of yourself a little bit. I was sort of that could just be me.
There was one where I was actually, I think it was that very first playthrough I was doing. I was trying to get away from Jason, and I ran up to a window, and it's oh shit, okay, it gives you one of the options is you hit X and you'll scramble up through the window and you're inside the cabin. Instead, what happened was I went up and I hit X, and I very calmly stopped freaking out, reached up, and just closed and latched the window and stood there on the outside of it the fuck are you doing?
Oh, this guy's asking for it.
I want to make sure to secure myself out here with the maniac.
Remember the girl who was just following Jason because I think she just wanted to, maybe she needed to go in the other room to get something to eat. So Jason was there, and she just walked up to him, presumably just because she just wanted him to kill her, but then he didn't.
Yeah.
He just walked in the other. No, you're not getting off that easy.
Yeah, at that point, she was trying to suicide by Jason. I think because I think she was last person standing, so she just wanted to end the match.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I think
Jason was in the fucking room with her.
Yeah.
So she put down her weapon. He wouldn't attack her. So she started just following him around. He wouldn't do anything. Once he grabbed her and then just let her go again. He didn't kill her. And then she just started following him around. He just started walking around breaking windows and doors instead of fighting her.
Maybe he thought she was his mom. That's the only explanation I could think of. I think there may be a problem with the tents in this game, because I was watching I was watching the high score last night, and there was a glitch on their end on the tents too. Not the same as mine. I just flat out got stuck in mine. Theirs, it was the angle that's outside the tent, and you could still walk around in it, but not in the angle that... It was it was frozen. It was the angle was frozen. You could still walk around in it, but it's not over your shoulder like it usually is or anything like that. Suddenly it just goes into
it's like a fixed camera angle.
Yes, yeah. And just couldn't leave at all. just stuck there around these trap tents. The best fucking glitch was floating Tommy Jarvis. We had a floating Tommy Jarvis earlier with a hole in his chest, he's Goldie Hawn from Death Becomes Her.
It was an interesting moment where some random guy, we had already died, so we were watching some guy as Tommy go around. Couldn't defend against Jason because it's fucking impossible. Jason grabs him, punches him through the chest, lets go of him, and walks away. But the thing that never happened was gravity.
Yeah.
So, just dead in the middle of the air.
In the middle of air. I was looking around for my phone a second ago because I took a picture of it. I'll put it up on my Twitter.
Yeah, I think I saw it on the couch whenever we were having.
Yeah. I left it at home. It only had 8% battery on it. I'm like, oh, that's all right. Laura's car's got great lighting in it. We don't need the phone. I'll put it up on Twitter. I took a picture of that. I took a picture of scared face, scared Malcolm face at one point, last night. I think I took another picture earlier. Oh, I took a picture of when it said
that insane wait we were on.
23 minutes. I'm curious what's the longest people have waited on this. Like, I'm curious how long someone sat there waiting to play this game. This game, it's like I said, like, you can see the potential there. You can. And even as it is now, with all the problems that it has, and the fact that this game could be a lot more, it really can. But as it is now, it's like, I could see this being a funny party game that you play for an hour or two at the most.
But yeah, it's just, you kind of get like strung by a couple things where it's like it's online multiplayer only. Mm-hmm. So only one person at a time can play. So like, I mean, you can pass on and off, but like each match being 20 set minutes, it's like,
you can set up private
well, true, but then it would be like, you know, it'd be, you know, everybody back at their place type thing. It's like, yeah, like, it's an interesting thing to like maybe have on as like an odd thing, like, yeah, like at a house party or something, but like,
yeah,
like even then, like, it's
like, what am I gonna? I'm gonna call you and be like,
it's like, hey, jump on, like, all right,
yeah, for Friday the 13th, the game,
and then let's sit here for 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I don't think this has happened before, but there's a cop that just pulled up alongside of us.
Yeah,
good, we're back.
I looked over and saw another cop car showing up, and she's like, cancel backup. I'm like, you called for backup?
Cancel backup. We don't like what these two said about Phoenix Forgotten. That was the movie you were thinking of the other night. That was the last one we saw at,
that's what it was.
Parkway 8. Was there anything else about this movie? What were we talking about? Him floating
Tommy Jarvis,
mm-hmm.
And yeah, just the fact that this feels like, it feels like if you bought a car from somebody, like, they're like, oh, we're selling like refurbished cars from
mm-hmm.
like your childhood, and you're like, that's awesome, and they sold you the frame and the engine, and it's like, well, there's no window glass, and we didn't paint it,
mm-hmm.
and there's no back seat, and the radio is like stuck with like an 8-track of like John Denver music in there. So like you got like 5 songs on repeat for the rest of your life. Get used to hearing Rocky Mountain High. Like, it's on every 20 minutes. Like that's what it feels like. It feels like there's so much that this could have been, and it's just not there yet. Like, they just haven't finished building it all yet.
And who knows, maybe the stuff that they add to it, like, I know that there'll be an update about it being like a single-player mode, or at least they said something about that, so who knows, maybe there could be plenty of touches that could be added to it that would make it a little bit better. As it is, this is a game that's $40, and
that's an awful big price tag, and
I felt better about that than when I paid $50 for us to play that Ghostbusters tie-in game from last year.
And I mean, if the updates for this, like, if any DLC they put out for it is like free, then all right, you know, I can get on board with that. But if it's going to be the sort of thing where like they just start like nickel and diming you like $5, $10, $15 at a pop, like oh, $10 more, and like we'll add in the cruise ship from Part 8 as a level, and we'll let you have like Jason X, like the Cyber ship. Jason,
could be Uber Jason in there. Fuck yeah!
It's like, that's an awful lot for like $10. Even anything more than $5, like, that feels like an awful lot to shell out.
And even like, as Part 9 Jason is a locked character on here, or if when you like killed people in it, you could like take over their bodies and shit.
That would be cool. Like,
yes.
Like, like everybody else has like a sort of thing, like one of them can swim fast, one of them can teleport. Let him body swap. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you could do, and I'll probably wrap this up. I know she's waiting for us to wrap up. There was really nothing else about this. Look, I've played way worse. I've played way worse tie-ins. I've played
We've played Superman 64. Like, there's worse games. Like, there's always going to be worse games, but for this, it's a lot of potential that's just not there yet.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, like, to see what they do with it, or I'm curious, like, what this company might work on next. Like, if nothing else, like, if you want to consider this to be, like, their audition into, like, making games, all right, cool. I'm curious to see where they go from here then, because they clearly have some ideas for what they want to do.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, hell, I might as well be. I've already paid $40. I already own it.
You're a shareholder now.
Yeah. See it.